Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Working Wednesdays broadcast. I am your host, Audra the Herd. I am the owner and CEO of IBG Publications, and I just want to take the opportunity to welcome you to the Working Wednesdays broadcast. We are so excited tonight about our guest, author and business owner, Zina Letrece. She is coming on with a phenomenal story and testimony of the goodness of God, raw, bold, transparent, authentic. We are so excited to have her on with us tonight. So do me a huge favor, like, share, tag the video, get someone on with us tonight. We are ready to roll and get started. We're going to have a very quick and short commercial break. So hang around with us, share the video, like it, tag someone, get someone on who needs to hear a phenomenal testimony of the goodness of God. So we're going to have a very brief commercial break, and I will be back shortly.
Are you a woman in need of wisdom? Do you sometimes battle with separating who you are now versus who you feel like you ought to be? Do you question God's plan for your life? Is there a sense of uncertainty in the areas of choosing healthy relationships? Hi, I'm Nadira, your life and impact coach. In becoming a woman of Proverbs, it is my desire to help you grow into the woman that God has designed you to be. We offer short videos with moments of wisdom for any circumstance using the Word of God. If you are looking to grow in your walk with the Lord, you'll have access to our online Bible study tools to help you cultivate your walk with the Lord. Are you looking for movies that give you hope and encouragement and help you to draw closer to God through any circumstance? Check out our Faith Movie Network, where we post weekly videos to help you stay encouraged. Don't forget to check out our weekly Girl Talk Live podcast, where we discuss everything from life, health, relationships, as well as financial stewardship. Do you shop online? Make sure you browse our online boutique, where we offer modern day clothes for the modest day woman. Last but not least, if you're a woman in need of work or some sort of financial help, let us help you find the perfect opportunity for you so you can continue to put food on the table for your family. No matter what it is, we are here for you. Make sure you download the app today.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Do me a favor, like, share, tag the video. Get someone on with us tonight. We are getting ready to get started and get our guests on tonight. I am going to go ahead and officially introduce Miss Zina Letrece. She is a recovery advisor, spiritual and life coach, motivational speaker, as well as a published author. Zina Letrece is CEO of Life Essentials with Zina Letrece, which offers strategies for shifting negative mindsets to positive outcomes, online courses for personal development, and one-on-one or one-to-one coaching. She is the author of the book, Life in the Fast Lane, A Journey Back to Myself. She is co-founder and executive director of Zen Rob Inc. It is a nonprofit organization that uses theater arts to give school-age youth a platform for discussing trauma in the home, and is currently registered with the state of California as an associate marriage and family therapist and associate professional clinical counselor, AMFT and APCC. And she has worked with dual diagnosed homeless and housed veterans with mental health disorders, along with adults in recovery. Zina Letrece, who has experienced her own set of challenges, overcoming active addiction, now 31 years sober. Congratulations. Yay, Letrece. Zina Letrece. She has a mental health diagnosis and a poor self-image, believes believes her ability to rise above her own brokenness has equipped her to assist others to rise above their own. She states, "There is a special place in my heart for offering relief to suffering people. The sole purpose of my being able to overcome my own challenges is to help guide others to overcoming theirs." Great model to live by. Zina Letrece is the proud mother to five adults, ranging in ages from 34 to 41. I'll let her tell her age because she looks good. And she is a grandmother to six children, ranging in age from 2 to 15. She currently resides in Los Angeles, California. So we're going to go ahead and get my guest on with us tonight. Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are welcome. You're welcome. So go ahead and take the opportunity and greet our guest this evening, however you desire to greet our guest.
I so appreciate you guys coming on and being willing to join the conversation. It is always good to sit down and have a good heart to heart in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's my prayer that this conversation will guide and direct you, the listening audience, to look deep into yourself to find if there are any limiting beliefs that you are still living by that are holding barriers up against you, between you and where you'd like to go, and that those things can be overcome, or at least that process begun. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was a very hearty, warm welcome. So we appreciate you taking the opportunity out of your schedule to come and grace us here on the Working Wednesdays broadcast. Again, for my viewers and my listeners, please go ahead, like and share and tag the video because we need to get some people on here in this phenomenal testimony tonight. So I always tell my guests, Nina, I gave you a script, but I always go off the script.
That's
It's,
fine.
it's just a guideline. It helps get your mind going and thinking. And so I like to be led in however I lead in. So I want to go ahead and lead right on into, because I just read your bio and you talked in your bio about being the addiction and that you've been free for 30 years now. So that's about, I'm not going to tell your age. I'm going to let you tell your age. But that's a long time. I say it that way. So talk about the addiction and how you overcame, or what was the root of it? How did you get to the root of it? Where did it come from? How did it get started? Talk about, however you feel led to talk about your addiction.
It's so interesting because it's as a result of recovery that I was able to take a really hard look at the ugly truth about my belief systems and where those belief systems were born, and at what stages of development in my life that I established those belief systems, in spite of the fact that I was well loved by my family. I did not experience abuse or trauma in the home. My mother, my father, my grandmother, my auntie, my extended family, I was well loved by all that I was surrounded by. But somehow I had developed a self-image that did not measure up in no way, shape, or form. And so I spent most of my childhood, my adolescence, my teenage years, and my young adult years trying to measure up to this idea that I had created for myself. No one had put that pressure on me. And not being able to achieve that. And, I took the whole total opposite end of the spectrum. Well, if I can't get it the way I think I'm supposed to have it, then I'm just going to do it the way I want. And so I believe, my mother used to try to give me warnings about certain mindsets, certain behaviors, certain conversations. And I always would say, you know, you don't know what this is a whole new day and age. You come from the 50s. I'm from the 70s. It's a whole different time. You don't understand. You know, I would challenge every step of the way. And so my thing was, I knew that I didn't believe what my mother was trying to tell me because I felt like she had not experienced it. My mother was a goody two-shoes. And so I was like, you know, I'm game to try almost anything once, because when I do have children, I want to be able to speak from experience. Now, I didn't understand the Pandora's box that I was about to open up on my own life, trying to have some experiences, because Lord knows it didn't even occur to me that I would need to overcome some of those decisions, you know. But that was like the introduction to various experimentation throughout my childhood. And one thing that occurs in addiction is, especially when you start like drinking alcohol or smoking marijuana at prepubescent ages, that you get stuck in that prepubescent age. You don't mature mentally. Your body continues to grow. You continue to look, talk, and act like the adult that people say that they are expecting to see when they see you, but your mind has not matured. Your emotions has not matured. Your spirit has not matured. You'll often hear in the church them talking about, you know, there's milk and there's meat. And you got to let go of the milk and get to the meat of the word. And it's the same with emotional maturity. If you start using drugs and alcohol at an early age, at least it was for me, I got stuck in my pre-puberty mindset and emotional mindset. So even though I grew up, I had children, I got married, I was operating from belief systems, and I was operating from mindsets that were established when I was a child, thinking as a child, responding to life as a child. They were not the decisions of an adult who had made adult transitions through puberty, adolescence, teenage years, and young adult. I did not make that transition, and so by the time by the time it occurred to me that I was in situations that I could not get myself out of, I was in situations I could not get myself out of. So, you know, my little mild manner childhood experimentation of drinking a little bit too much here or smoking a little marijuana over here had turned into full-blown crack use, had turned into full-blown alcoholism, had turned into full-blown powerlessness and inability to put any brakes on the snowball that I had set to rolling. And that's where I found myself. Luckily for me, you know, I was raised in a praying family. My family prayed me. They prayed over me in the womb. They prayed over my childhood. They prayed over my adolescence. They prayed over my young adult life. So when I had tried everything I could think of to try to curb my enthusiasm, so to speak, or reduce my use, or put some boundaries around the way that my behavior was having all these negative outcomes. When I had tried everything I could think of, then I went to God. Because I knew about God. They say you train them up as you train up a child on the way that they should go, and if they should depart, they will return to it. And when all else fails, you know, my grandmother told me as a child, she said, and I guess she knew that I wouldn't listen to nobody. I'll just rebellious, just hard head. She said, you know what? If you ever get to a place in your life where you can't talk to anybody and you can't call on anybody and you're in crisis and you need help, you can always, even without parting your lips, you can always call on God and He will answer. And so when I found myself at that place at the age of 28 years old with 5 children, divorced, feeling like an old woman, realizing today how young I really was, I called on God and God answered.
Wow. I want you to talk a little bit more about when you were out there, you know, how was your family responding to you? Because you said that they didn't raise you that way. You weren't raised on the streets, but you was determined you was gonna try whatever you could try and get your hands on, whatever you could get them on. So how did your family, respond to the addiction? Because when I think about someone who's addicted to crack cocaine, we see stuff on TV, the images, the portrayals of what it's like to be on it. And so talk about your family's response, to this person that they did not raise.
So my use with crack cocaine was
Mhm.
very short lived. I was introduced to it, and within a year and a half, I was seeking recovery. It was very,
Wow.
very short lived.
Okay.
But the devastation I caused in that very short time was almost indescribable. But it's in the book.
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
but during the years of drinking and smoking weed and thinking I was cool and thinking I was in that proving mode. I was trying to show my mother that I could be a better mother than her. I would, because everybody felt like, you keep having all these kids, you're young. I didn't believe I was young. Everybody kept saying, you're just a baby, Zina. Why are you living like this? It's like, you can't tell I'm grown. I
Right.
had my first kid at 18, my last kid at 26. And at 26, I felt like a full blown, grown, long living old age woman. And you couldn't tell me nothing. If you couldn't tell me anything at 15, you really couldn't tell me anything at 26. Because in addition to living life by my own rules, whether they was working or not working, one thing that I was deliberate about is making sure I didn't ask nobody for nothing. I was married at the age of 18, and I was having a little bit of trouble with my husband, and I went to my mom, and I eloped. I didn't tell my mother I was leaving to get married. I came back and said, Mom, I'm married. She was heartbroken. I'm her only daughter. It's just me and my little brother. So she was heartbroken. I didn't understand the break in her heart until much, much later. But so on this day, which was after that, on this day, I went to her and I said, Mom, I don't know what to do about my husband. And she looked at me, she said, you made your bed hard, now lie in it. And it upset me to a degree where I made another immature prepubescent decision, even though I was in the body of an adult with the age of an adult. I was still a child making decisions from emotional places instead of taking into consideration all the facts and all the circumstances. When she said that, I made a quiet decision. I never said a word. I made a quiet decision that I would ask nobody for nothing, and me and my kids would make it no matter who stayed or who left. And so my family was not, I went to them. We weren't distant. We weren't estranged. I would show up to the family picnics. I would show up to family dinner. I would show up for Easter. Everybody had on the matching clothes. We all, because it's easy to get all dressed up for the day. Nobody see how you living every day when you get dressed up for the day. Just like with these Zoom calls, you could be all the way dressed from the waist up and totally naked from the waist down. Nobody know. And so that's kind of how I was living. It's like you could not tell. Until I started doing the cocaine. When I started to do the cocaine, I began to lose weight rapidly. And when my mom first made mention of my weight, I referenced the fact that she had been calling me fat for a year, and I decided to take action. And it shut her up for a minute. It was not the truth, but it shut her up for a minute. By the time she realized that my children were showing signs and effects of neglect because they weren't being fed properly, they weren't being bathed properly, they weren't being cared for properly, but they would not leave my side. So when you try to gauge trauma to a child, the first one you look at is the kid. How is this kid responding to this parent? Does this kid seem afraid? Does this kid seem distant? Does this kid jump when the parent says something? And that was not the case with my children. And so, and because that wasn't her life or her history, there weren't a lot of signs that she understood or knew how to look for. So I was able to hide it for a long time until I couldn't. I was able to hide it until I couldn't.
Wow.
And when I couldn't, I sought help.
Wow. If you're listening to me and you just joined, please like the video, share it. Somebody needs to hear this, especially if you know someone who was previously addicted and may still be struggling. I believe she's going to share some good nuggets, how she got delivered and free, because that's what we're going to get ready to transition into. How she got free and stayed free for over 30 years, for 30 plus years now. And so, and again, going back to your addiction with the cocaine, a lot of people, it wasn't that easy, to come out of it. And I was told, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told that only the true saving blood of Jesus is what truly delivers people. Because even when they try therapy and they try, all these methods, I'm told that somewhere they revert back. But when they get really free and really delivered, that's when you see the permanent change, which is what I see from you. So, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've been told.
The help that I sought, I went through a detox program, and I went through a residential recovery program, and I'm a big participant of the anonymous recovery programs today, and I have been for the entire time that I've been sober. But the same thing that happens in the world and in the rooms of recovery, it happens in the church too, because it's not the religious tenets. It's not the 12 steps of recovery. It's not the instructions of your therapist. If you don't develop a relationship with the God of your understanding that you can communicate one-on-one, if you don't have that vertical relationship with God, just you and him, I can talk to God. I'll be like, yo, what is this? What is this? What is happening? This is not what we signed up for. The last time we talked, you said, see, that's how I can talk to God, because and he can hear me and he responds. Everybody don't talk to him that way. You gotta because God knows who we are. And in my building and nurturing the relationship with him, it was so that I could become familiar with his personality. So that I can become familiar with what his voice sounds like in my ear, so that I can be familiar with what I see through his eyes when I'm looking in that mirror reflection. So it's never about the institution or the regimen. It will always be about relationship. Always. No matter where you go, it will not work. Even me in recovery, if I didn't establish a working and I mean this working Wednesdays, right? Ain't this working Wednesdays? Don't play. Don't play with my working Wednesdays. If I don't have an active, working, relevant, vertical relationship, everything I say is lip service. It means nothing. It means nothing. So, yeah.
You just gave Working Wednesdays a whole different vibe. You just gave this thing, you even gave me a whole new revelation. Okay. You do have to have a working relationship with God, and that's deliverance in any area. Whether it's addiction, sexual sin, or food addictions, it goes across the board. When you have that true relationship with him, oh my God, it's nothing that you cannot conquer. And it's like you said, that one-on-one relationship, my relationship with him is not your relationship.
Right.
But yet he's still the same God.
He's still the same God.
And relates to us on our levels. And he does not talk to us outside of what we're familiar with. He just doesn't, because it's just like, if he knows that you speak English, he's not going to come to you speaking in Chinese.
He just not.
He just not.
What kind of loving God is that?
Exactly. So he's going to meet us right where we are. And so that's a powerful statement for those listening. You got to have a working relationship, and that's where the deliverance came in.
And I'm going to tell you what helped me with that understanding is my grandmother. My grandmother was one woman who had three daughters. She had my mother, my aunt, and my two aunties. My mother was the oldest. My mother had me and my brother. Her middle sister had one daughter, and her younger sister had one daughter and one son. My brother and I call my grandmother Piggy. My middle auntie's daughter called my grandmother Big Mama. And the baby auntie's children called my grandmother Two Mama. My grandmother's sisters and brothers' children called her auntie. The church called her pastor because she was my pastor. But she was the same woman that was born, lived, and died. And whatever she was called was determined by the relationship she had with the person that was talking to her at the time. It did not change who she was as a person at any time, because she was the same beginning, middle, and end. But her title was always identified by the person talking to her, not from her to them. So if I call God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, God in the triune, that's my relationship. And even if I don't agree with God as Allah, I can respect that is your conversation, your relationship, and how y'all speak, and it is none of my business. It has nothing to do with me. And if I interfere with that business, my own Bible tells me, do not, what is it, throw the tares, do not pull the tares with the wheat. If I will interfere with God's business while he talking in the language that I don't know nothing about, I'm the one that has to pay that price. Because I don't get to tell God how he can draw one to himself in the way that he knows more than I do. It's huge. It's huge. I that just make me smile though. Understanding how to mind my own business.
You're talking so good, because we can judge people based on their relationship with God, and we can say that because they don't have certain convictions, or because they don't do certain things, or they don't do it this way, they're not reaching God, or they don't do it that way, he don't hear them. And that is so untrue. And you used a perfect example of people calling him Allah. That does not mean he is not that God, because that's oh God, what is it? Come on, help me. Arabic. That's the Arabic term. That's the Arabic term for God. So you can't say it's not the same God, because that's the way they choose to call on him. Now, what kind of access that they get to him is based on, are they going through Jesus Christ? Because that's a different level of access that you get.
It's a different level of access according to my belief. According to my belief. In my book that I study, in the book that has the principles that I live by, that I can relate to, that is my access. And there's a prophet. I don't understand it. I don't speak that language. It is none of my business. What I do is pray that God's sovereign mercy is spread thick like a blanket, and get out of God's business with others. Should that person come to me and ask me, what should I do? I'm experiencing this, that, and the other. What I will share is my experience according to my language. And then it will be their responsibility to translate it into the language that they understand, or adopt the language that I speak. It's their choice. It's not my business. That is not my. God didn't call me to change others' relationship with him. God called me to make it be known that he exists and that he is a way out. That's my responsibility. My responsibility is to go tell it on the mountain. How the people hear it have nothing to do with me. That's on him.
This is really good stuff. And we didn't even start talking about the book yet. How about that? We're gonna get there. That's why I said I like to be led, and I like it to do just the conversation, just to flow, because you know, what you're saying is so good, because the level of access that I have, another person can't have it, because again, it's based on the relationship. It's based on the closeness. It's based on how much they desire. Use a perfect example when you talked about your grandmother and how everybody called her a different name. And depending on the name they called her, depends on what part of her that they got from her.
Right.
So
Right.
if they called her pastor, they was getting her the pastor. If they
Right.
called her grandma, they was getting their grandmother, which might have been another level of wisdom. And so is the same when we have different relationships with God and we call on him in a different way. Somebody might say he's healer. Somebody else might call him provider. You know, somebody else might say my banner of victory. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so what you get from God is that relationship that you have with him. This is good stuff. I'm trying to figure out how I'm moving on, but let's talk about the book. Let's shift gears and talk about how you wrote the book. Like, share, tag the video. Get somebody on tonight. If you haven't shared this video and you're listening to my voice, shame on you. Because this is good stuff. And if you're listening to the replay, share it on the replay. But go ahead and talk about the book. Talk about what made you decide to write a book, because a lot of people have testimonies, but they never get to the point of sharing it in a book. So talk about your journey writing your book.
So I was in the bachelor's program at the university, and I was in a communications class, and we were charged with the task of writing about our earliest memory. And so my earliest memory for me was the first time I rode on an airplane. I was leaving LA to go to Ohio to visit my dad for the first time since he had moved away from LA with his new family. And I was 7 years old, and I was going by myself. And I was all dressed up in my patent leather shoes with my plaid skirt and suit set, my skirt set, and my, my little shirt. And I felt, again, feeling grown. I have a little purse and the whole 9 yards. So I built an entire, the paper I submitted to that class was about that time period. So when my instructor read it, he said, "This is such a good story. I would be interested to see how you expanded it. It even has the potential to be a book." That was like 1993, 94, maybe 95.
Okay.
From then until 2012, I wrote. And there's so much, because the contents of the book is from that day at 7 years old, going on the plane, until I turned 28 years old, and it was my first year of recovery, and all the things that occurred. That's what the book is about. I didn't even publish the book until 2014. And then I didn't tell nobody. It was a secret. I was like, this is all my business. I don't want to tell nobody my business. And then I started sharing about it in 2016. And in 2018, I relaunched officially. And so the book is that little girl had had a child's image of what the world looked like through the eyes of my daddy, my father. And my childhood and young adult life was the dismantling of that picture with the truth, and how that affected me and how I responded to it. And it's not because of my father that I ended up using drugs. It's not because of anybody, but it is the way I dealt. And so the story tells about when I finally landed in that lifestyle, dealing with the dark side of life, I say, and everything that entailed, what I went through, what my children went through, how I continue to be a person that impacted lives, even with the people that I did drugs with. Because I am still who I am. God will not be denied. He don't care what you're doing. Right. Oh, this how you gonna live while you tell the story I tell you to tell? Okay. You're gonna be shamefaced telling this story about me while you smoking, but you're not gonna be able to not tell it. So, so because I at the end, I would talk about scripture. I would talk about my Bible. I would pray over the people, and they would be like, "Girl, God gonna get you." But anyway, and then and then it goes from there into recovery. And I'm gonna tell you, I will be 32 years sober in September of this year. And so that you don't have to keep saying it, I will be 60 years old in 2 weeks. And I tell people, I keep telling people because I feel excited. I feel, I feel a cool 30 until I try to dance and stand and do what 30-year-olds do. And then I feel a real big 59, which is what I am. But so the books started out as it really is a 5-part series. There are 4 other books that are not written because that story ends in 1989 and it's 2020.
Wow.
What has the person that I was at the end of that book, which I believe was a phenomenal person, is so far removed from who I am today, who I was 10 years from that day, who I was the next 20 years later, and who I am today.
Wow.
So I'm excited about where I'm at now, what I'm doing now, and how I'm operating in my passion and my purpose now.
Wow.
So I'm in the process of creating a life that supports me being able to just be about my purpose, which is getting what is in me out so that I can continue to impact lives, in that ripple effect. I believe I can change the world. I believe I can change the world, doggone it, one person at a time.
That's a phenomenal philosophy because we don't realize that when you do change one person, you don't know who they're gonna change, how many lives they're gonna affect. So you do, in essence, have the ability to change the world.
That's right.
One person at a time. Because when you change one at a time, then it's a ripple effect, and they start changing the lives of those that are attached to them. So talk about if somebody picked up your book, what's the hope that you have for the person that picks up your book? What's their takeaway? What do you desire them to get from it?
So what I've heard that people experience is a renewed sense of hope, no matter what their past is. That they are able to grasp hold to the reality that for every day that you open your eyes and you take that first inhale, exhale of consciousness, you are given another opportunity to just get it right.
Yeah.
Every day. And you don't get to give up until that don't happen.
That's good.
Every day, no matter what the day bring, you aching and paining, okay, get up a little slower. You're destitute, okay, get up a little different. You feel like you don't have no resources, okay, but you open your eyes and take that inhale, exhale. God is saying, one more again, please. You don't get to choose about that. And so my hope with people reading this particular book is that they will come out on the other side knowing that no matter what dark past you come from, you can have a bright future. You don't have to worry about your yesterdays. All you got to do is restructure today and your tomorrows will be very, very different.
That's good.
And so.
That's good. So talk about your legacy. What do you desire to be your legacy? I stop saying what do you want to leave because some people say, well, I'm a living legacy. So what do you desire to be your legacy?
So one of the mindsets that I am operating in currently is a hashtag birth your now. Everything is possible right now.
Yeah.
Because if I operate in the present, if I'm standing in the now, this moment the real estate of this moment right here is the absolute only place that God and I can connect. Because God don't deal with the past, and the future is none of my business. And so if I really want to connect with my most powerful self, I'll stay present in the now, whatever that now is. And if no matter what I'm experiencing in this second right here, everything is possible right now. Because God knows the future, knew the past. And if I can connect with him in the now, we together, like I say, we can change the world one person at a time. And if I can get people to understand that if you will stop worrying about the entire world of people and make the one person standing in front of you your whole world right now, you will impact them in a way that ripple effect, you will not see the many blooming flowers in the meadow that that bloom yearly in as a result of that one moment.
Wow. That is really good stuff. I want to bring the audience in on our conversation. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is what I want to post. Tanya says, congratulations on your 32 years of sobriety. To
Thank
God
you.
be the glory. To
Thank
God
you.
be the glory. And then Venus says she read your book 4 times.
I love Venus. She's been fussing, so she know I got more books that are not written. And she's like, "What's the problem, boo?" She done created some wind beneath my wings. I'm gonna have to catch up with
Yes.
her.
And then I posted your hashtag birth your now. Birth your
Yes.
now. How did
Yes.
somebody get started birthing their now? How do they go about it?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I'm just putting the finishing touches on my online course.
Awesome.
A
Yeah.
bright future from a dark past.
Mm.
Um, and if they go to my website, www.lifeessentialswithzinalatrece.com, they can contact me and I can keep them posted on when this course is ready. I'm looking to launch this course before the end of this month. But that course deals with being in the present. It takes you through, it's a 5-part series of how to stay present in the now, how to not overthink, how to put a support system around you, how to get ready, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's going to require, ain't nothing nice about it. It's the process that I've been through is simple, but it is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
Because when I come to disrupt, I come to disrupt some mindsets. I come to disrupt some old belief systems. I come to shake you at your core. And when we're talking about breaking hard ground so that we can put seed, making sure that soil is right, then it's going to require some hard work. So the people that sign up for it must be committed, because I don't have time to play, and I'm not going to play quick. I don't mince words because it's serious business. Because I know that if the work is done, and it don't take much, but it take everything you got. But once the work is done, it is duplicatable, and you will see ripples effect, like standing on the shore, tossing the rock and watching it go. But it goes into infinity. So you see it go, but you don't see where it lands. And the reason why you can't see where it lands is because it reaches far outside the human eye's ability to see. Because it is a God thing and it's not our thing. It is not our thing. So if you want to know how to birth your now, if you want to know how to get present, if you want to know how to get past, create a bright future from a dark past, you're going to have to talk to me. I can't just tell you right here on IBG.
You gotta go to the website.
Gotta
And
go through
it's
it.
Life Essentials with ZinaLatrece.com. Get on the website. Get to the root.
Get
If
to
you
the root.
don't pull out the root, you can't plant the seed. That's a word. You got to get to the root to pull it up. And then the seed can be planted because there's no competition with the seed that's going to be planted. So,
If you don't pull it from the root, I don't mean to cut you off. If you don't pull it up from the root, what'll happen is that plant will grow again.
come
It
on.
will overpower any new seed you put in
Yes.
because it has a stronger root.
Right.
The root has been there longer. It's stronger. It's
Right.
stronger than the new seedling. So the new seedling won't have a chance. It's not so much that the seed can't be planted, it's that it has no possibility to grow because that old root has deep roots.
Yeah.
Like the iceberg that has most of its mass underwater where you cannot see. And so if you don't pull to the root, it will just grow again. All you're doing is cutting down a tree. But get your fruit basket because it's gonna grow back. And it's gonna bear whatever fruit it's been bearing the whole time.
Yes.
Unless you dig down and dig deep.
Yes. Yes.
So
What do you feel like is the best investment that you've made into your business, your book? I call what we do even as business owners a ministry. So what is the best investment that you've made into everything that you do? Or the greatest investment? Let me say that way. What's the greatest investment?
coaching, number one, coaching, business coaching and personal development coaching. And a life well lived, because I had to live this thing out. I couldn't have given you what I have in me at 2 years sober.
Yeah.
Even though at 2 years sober, what I had was extremely powerful and impacted somebody with 2 days sober very well. But today, my living experience is the investment. I have made sacrifice. I have made mistakes. I have gotten it wrong and maintained a hope. I've done it wrong and tried it again. I've done it wrong publicly so that people can see, because I believe that my transparency is somebody's freedom. I refuse to believe that my heartaches, my trials, and my tribulation were done for absolutely nothing.
Right.
Because if I wake up and take that first inhale, exhale of the breath of life in the morning, best believe everything I went through to get to that day is going to be for purpose. It cannot be for nothing. Yeah. And so the mistakes I've made have been very, very public. You know, I come in the raw, I come in my transparency, I come in my ugly, because I need people to see. I need people to see that even at the mountaintop, sometimes I still sit in the valley. Right. Even at the mountaintop, I still have days where even the limiting beliefs that I've had before still try to bear fruit. I'll be like, is that one of them? That is one of them fruit from that old tree. I could have swore I got all them roots. I ain't get them roots. Hey, tribe, I need help. One of them fruit is cropping up in my garden. I thought I got it all. I didn't. Shore me up. I'm going back in. Right. You know, my biggest investment has been coaching and a support system, because you can't do it alone. Yeah. But we've been so broken, so scarred, and so hurt that doing it alone seems like the best possible way. Yeah. However, the only way I find out who I can trust is by trusting everybody and see who breaks that. That requires thick skin. Yes. Yes. And my vertical must be in place. Yes, it does. And people don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the work. And what you're talking about is work, the coaching, the personal development. It's turning off the TV and putting on an audiobook, or spending time in prayer, you know, outside of a church service. You know, that is the work that has to be done to get to those places of strength and those places of being solid. And like you said, after 30 plus years sober, you got a whole lot that you can transfer because you got the experience. You could talk about the days you rebuked the taste of alcohol because it came back. You could talk about that, and you couldn't do that, like you said, at 2 years, you know? I just want to also say that when you attack one demon, that demon, the legions is different forms of the same demon. So when drugs and alcohol are gone and dealt with, and that's really, really pulled up from the root, and it's not an issue anymore, I need to check when I'm eating donuts unnecessarily. I need to check when I'm at Taco Bell on a regular basis. I need to check when I keep looking at home, dude, and I know this is not a brother that is of the caliber that God has said is supposed to be. But that it got to be him or nobody else. I need to check those moments because that is the same fruit from the same root of that same dog tree that's trying to choke me. But if I don't do the work to see the familiarity, I won't see. I'll keep thinking it's a new demon.
Come on, that's so good. Woo. That's so good. Legions are, say that again.
Legions are different forms of the same demon. Yes.
Different form of the same spirit. That is so good. I'm going to write that down. I got to come back and listen to that because when you hear that legion, you think that it's multiple different, but it's all the same. It just look a different kind of way. And that is so true about deliverance. The same spirit will come in the same person and they look different, but it's the same root. It's the same thing. It's just coming in a different form, but it got the same assignment. It got the same agenda.
Right. And the purpose is the same. The purpose is the same, and that is to get us off track of our purpose.
Yes.
Because in our human state, we forget so easily. Our only job is to make sure that he is known. I was born, have lived, and then die to make sure somebody else knows who he is and how to get to him for themselves. Because the battle is theirs. And the enemy thrives on us forgetting that we know the end of the story. We win. We don't even have to fight this battle.
Right.
And it will show up in this way, or it'll show up in that way, or it'll show up in this. It will show up in a pandemic, a race riot, a president that don't care, people that are who will spit in my face. And my challenge is, can I love anyway? Because that's what he asked me to do.
Right.
And so every time I have a hard heart against those who persecute me, it tests my belief. It's like, really? Oh, this one. Oh, really? You judging where this one get to go? That's not what God said.
Right.
In the book you say you believe. That's not what he said. Test your belief against that one. It's like, ow, I guess I need work, Lord Jesus. Deliver us sister out of this one, then why don't you? There's always more work to do. There's always more work to do. Each one teach one. Don't leave nobody behind.
Wow. So you said that transitioning back to your book, that you know that it's multiple parts or series. So do you have anything coming down the pipeline, anything you're working on that you could share when it'll be released with us?
Ooh, when it's going to be released. So I'm working on a short read called Everything is Possible Now. I know that it will be ready at the end of this month, but I don't want to launch it and the online course at the same time.
Gotcha.
And so that, and I have another book drafted, God Sees You. Because a lot of people feel invisible. They feel unworthy to be looked upon in the eyes of God. And I need people to know God already know our story. He knew what our story would be before we got here. And so whatever unworthiness, it is self-propelled. And if we can get past that negative self-talk, we can reconnect with the true source, which is God. But God Sees You is coming out, but that's later this year.
Awesome. Well, y'all heard it here on the Working Wednesdays broadcast. She's got a course. When does your course launch? Talk about when your course launches and
The
can they
course,
come to
the course will launch at the end of July, and on Facebook, I have my business page is Life Essentials with Zina Letrece, and I'll keep updates there as well. Uh, my whole life is everything with Zina Letrece. So if you put in Zina Letrece, you're gonna find me in the stuff that I'm doing. But the course will launch by the end of the month. And what I'll be doing leading up to that launch is dropping nuggets on my personal page. I'm not good with Instagram. That's I keep saying I'm not old. I don't, every time I try to get with the news, I was like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I need help. Somebody help me. I don't understand. So, I'm working on understanding how to connect with the people in this new virtual world because the message of God that is in me will not be quenched. And so, if I got to learn the new virtual methods of connecting with the people, then such is life. So be it. But so in the meantime, the website and Life Essentials with Zina Letrece business page, which is hashtag Birth Your Now. If you search on Facebook, hashtag Birth Your Now, you will find my business page there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put that in the mix as well. Awesome, awesome. So your course launches end of July. In order to follow and find out about the other books that are going to launch, follow Life Essentials with Zina Letrece, and Zina is spelled Zina, just so you are aware. Follow that hashtag Birth Your Now, and you will find her as well as everything that she does. So we're gonna wrap up for the night because we like to be like right at about an hour. So thank you so much for coming by and sharing and opening up, more revelation for those listening concerning overcoming addiction, did just everything you shared, doing the work, getting to the root, planting a new seed. It has all been good stuff. So one more time, tell everybody all your social handles, your website again, and where can they buy your book at?
So my personal Facebook is Zina Letrece Author. My business page is Life Essentials with Zina Letrece. My webpage is lifeessentialswithzinaletrece.com. That's where you can find me, where I can also see, because I have others, but I don't know how to get to them all the time. I'd rather you look for me in the places I know how to access. And I want to say to you, Andra, that it's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for your invite. This was a lot of fun for me. So thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And just to think, you were nervous, right? You did good. Let it flow like water, and that's what I love the most. I love it. I love it. So I do have your website for those that are still watching. Please still like the video, share it. We still want people to be looking at the replay. I'm going to do a watch party later on, and the video will be available on our YouTube channel. So once it becomes available, I'll make sure you get the link so you can share it on your website or, wherever you want to share it at. Because it does help get you that exposure. And so I just think that it's just good tonight. I'm just excited. I'm stirred up. Now I'm getting ready to take Working Wednesdays to a new place with that new revelation.
the ripple effect.
The ripple effect. Because originally, to say briefly, originally when I started Working Wednesdays, it was about doing actual business work, on a Wednesday. So it didn't have to do working on your relationship with God. So that, it sounds like something I need to incorporate. And it gives it a different direction and a different twist. So I'm definitely going to seek God and see what he says and what direction I need to go. So Thank you for being open to the Spirit of God and even saying it. You just casually said it, but it was a redirect. So thank God for using you tonight. So, what are the final words that you have for our viewers before we sign you off? What do you want to leave with the viewers?
I want to encourage people to not be afraid to face the ugly truth.
Mm.
Um,
Ooh, that's
because it's not until you can acknowledge the truth about how ugly it is that you know exactly what to take into your prayer closet
yes,
so that God can reshape and remold it into what you would really desire it to be, which is always going to be in line with his vision for
yes,
you going forward. Don't
yes.
be afraid. It won't hurt. Well, it will hurt, but it won't kill you.
That's good. That's good. And one more thing, because you talked about the journey of writing your book, and you talked about how you had started writing it. I think you said around 93 was when you started. 94,
95.
so you started around 95, and then you finally wrote it in 2012.
I
And
finished it. I have been writing all along. Anytime I was unemployed, I would just sit and write. I would get up and get dressed for temp services, and then I would write until a temp service called me, and then I would go. And then I
okay,
would start working, and I would work for a year or two. I would either quit or get fired because I've been rebellious for a long time. And anytime I was unemployed, I would write.
okay,
Uh, and so I finished it, and it was just my manuscript. And then I started my own business. I had a men's sober living. I had that for 13 years. One of my house managers, we would meet once a week on business about the house. He came by. He was looking for some paperwork that I had, and I had to pull my manuscript out because it was the paperwork was under it. He said, "What's this?" And I said, "Oh, that's just my life story." He said, "Can I read it?" I said, "I don't care." And he read it, and it was a lot of pages to me. And he came back the next day. He was like, "Why is this not published?" And literally for the next year, he kept reading revisions of it until I had it separated into chapters, and that was in 2012.
wow.
And
And then you released it in 14.
I published it in 14 and didn't tell nobody until 16. And when people found out about it in 16, I'm like, okay, so I did this book.
Wow, wow. So I led into all of that to say, what words of encouragement would you have for someone who needs to finish their book? Because you obviously started a while ago, but you kept working on it, and then finally you released it. So, what words of encouragement for someone sitting on the fence who hasn't released their book yet?
So that took me almost 25 years from
Mhm.
start to finish. For the last 6 months, I've drafted 3 books and an online course. It don't take that long. Everything is possible right now. That's the worst of
Yeah,
encouragement.
yeah.
It don't take that long. It don't take all of that. Just get it done.
Hmm.
It's better to do it, finish it, and get it published and decide not to tell nobody than to have it sit in manuscript form for 25 years for no good reason.
Wow,
Write
wow.
it, get it done, get it out of your body. If you stop breathing today, your story can still be told.
Yes,
Have
yes.
your story inside your body
That's
because
good.
no one else can tell it like you.
That is so good. Woo! That's good because I know some people who wanted to write a book and left here and didn't accomplish it. And no matter how much I pulled on them, they just didn't get it done. So that's good words. Don't die with it inside of your body. That is good because it's no good anymore. Once you're
No,
out of here, it's no
yeah,
good. And
yeah.
that's your legacy that you leave in the earth. So, wow, powerful words to end the night with. Thank you so much. God bless you in your business and what you do. May it flourish and may your course be packed to the max. And may every person who joins the course do the work. Don't come
Yeah.
to the table and get scared. Do the work.
Be scared, but do it anyway.
All right.
Be
All right.
scared, but do it anyway. That's where the support come in. You're gonna be scared, but
Yeah.
that's all right. Do it anyway. I
Yeah.
was scared. I did it anyway.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you again for joining us tonight. God bless you. We got your website. I'm gonna leave it up on the screen so everybody can see it. But thank you for stopping by the Working Wednesdays and lending us your testimony, being transparent, and just helping us spread the good news of the Lord Jesus Christ. So God bless you and thank you for joining us tonight. All right, everybody. So y'all heard it here first on the Working Wednesdays broadcast. I'm just, I'm just full from everything that she shared tonight. It's been all good. It's been all God. You see her website up on the screen. So visit her at Life Essentials with ZinaLetrece.com. And you can also find her on Facebook as Zina Letrece Author. And her hashtag is Birth Your Now. And she said if you use that hashtag, you will find her. So get signed up for the course. And, do your work, beloved. That's what Iyanla always says. Do your work. I'm a huge, huge advocate of doing your work. That's what the vow is about. I don't know if everybody saw it top of the hour, but I did play the trailer for my recent book, The Vow. It is a comprehensive workbook for ladies to do the work necessary to attract the love that you desire. So, God bless y'all. Thank you for joining tonight. It's been a phenomenal show. We will be back next week, same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. My guest next week is Evangelist Ratita Rogers, and her book has to do with breaking out of prison. I can't call her title right now, but has to do with she broke out of prison, y'all. And so I believe she's going to come on and share a great testament as well. So join us here next week for the Working Wednesdays broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is IBG Publications on YouTube. You can follow us across all social platforms, IBG Publications, Facebook, IBG Publications, Twitter, IBG Publications, Instagram, IBG Publications, and of course, YouTube. Check out some of our older broadcasts. Grab yourself a cup of coffee and a donut, popcorn, or whatever, and just have a watch party. And check out how God has been blessing the lives of people who are authors and business owners and decided to get off the fence and decided to do like she said tonight and not die with your story inside of you. So God bless y'all tonight. Thank you for joining, and I will look for you all next week. Have a good night.